You know, the same chicks who cheerleads and celebrates a woman like Cardi B who got to interview Joe Biden despite having a confession available online where she talked about getting men robbed and raped when she was a prostitute. Well, the same type of people who cheerlead and celebrate that bitch is the same type of people who are Tiffany fans. And Tiffany has been getting savaged by Kyland. Nah, see, she hasn't had the opportunity to rape and rob him in this game because Kylan was smart enough to sort of bide his time. You know, ever since she made that little dig at him about the Sarah Beth hug, I feel like Kylan has had his eyes on her, wanting to get her out. But, you know, he plays it off very smooth and cool. You know, once Xavier got that wake up call, he can't even hide the fact that he's after Tiffany. But Kylan is something of a savage. Like, he's able to smile, talk in his soft voice, ramble on. Hell, he's even able to cuddle up with his enemy as she finger blasts herself next to him. He's able to tolerate all of that while really wanting to get her ass out of the house. And it's been a wonderful thing to see. You know, in fact, she was very upset. You know, she was upset while, you know, laughing and smiling, but again, you can't hide your upsetness, if you will, because it comes out in your words. You know, even though you're smiling and cackling. I mean, for instance, she said about Kylan to Hannah, questioning why she's the target. She states, "It's because I was talking shit about Sarah Beth. She's fine with me. I don't even dislike her. I think she's a cool person. Let me go in there. I'm going to be like, girl, he told me so much about you." And then Hannah responds, "Is this your version of a campaign?" Now, this was before the veto. And then she made another comment when Hannah said, "Do you guys want seaweed?" And then Tiffany responded, "Everybody can have some besides Kylan." And then Hannah asks, "Why?" And Tiffany responds, "Because the motherfucker put us on the block. I know she's safe. She like, you are on the block, not me. Kai, would you like some? Tomorrow, I'll be different." Now, this was her reaction, you know, to getting put on the block because she hasn't been on the block before and she believes she was entitled to never be on the block. But I don't understand. Why is she mad? They're at the six. Shouldn't they all be celebrating history? I mean, especially her fans, or I should say the Cookout fans, but obviously they're really her fans. But yeah, they spent all year advocating for this racist alliance to make it to the final six, but they're still dissatisfied. You know, in fact, in little chat rooms where I watch the feeds, you can see how these people feel. For instance, you have one commenter in a live feed chat by the name of Poker Lady stating, "Oh my God, why does it look like Tiffany's rolling around having a good old time laughing with Kylan when no matter what she does, he's still going to get rid of her?" And then there's another comment saying, "We need a wall yeller or an airplane banner telling Tiffany that America will pay her $10,000 to smack Kylan in his big face and tell him F you." So you have a live feed chatter encouraging physical assault. And you don't know what the so-called race, it doesn't matter. But, you know, for people who are acting like this is a historic moment, they are reacting very bitterly to Cardi B, I mean, Tiffany, being on the block and ready to go home. Because, again, just a couple of days ago, you had a conversation between Hannah and Ozza, speaking about how there's 3 black women and 3 black men, top 6. No matter what, the final 2 is going to be black people. You had people responding to that statement saying legendary. Okay, if it's such a legendary thing, then why is the word coon, COON, which is a racial slur, why is that word still active on Big Brother Twitter? If this is such a legendary occasion, why is that word still active? And why is Kyland and Xavier and even Derek F, why are they being called misogynistic? I mean, isn't that the point of the cookout? Make it to the final 6 and now they all battle it out? And however they choose their sides, that's how they choose their sides? Oh, I know why they still have an issue, because they're fucking hypocrites. And they don't stand for anything that they claim to stand for. Which is why, if you truly care about yourself or your family, you should never buy into this race play bullshit. It's all disingenuous. It's always been insincere. You can go back to 1911, which I showcased in the previous video, where Booker T. Washington was calling out race hustlers. Even back then, this shit has always been going on. The only difference between now and then is that now there's no subtlety about it, and plus they employ bigger retards than ever before. Because before you at least had to be an intellectual to be an agent of the mainstream. Be able to be articulate and put on a professional persona. Now they just got blatant ghetto birds out here, interviewing presidents like Cardi B. You got Joy Reid and Angela Rye just being all types of ghetto. Stacey Abrams. Like, they aren't subtle at all. Because they feel like, people's tolerance level are so high because they don't want to be cast as a bigot that they can now push through any type of degenerate motherfucker to push their little socio-political agendas. And yes, even Big Brother, this little silly competition reality show, even Big Brother is being used to push a social political agenda. And you can see how it affected the gameplay this year. Because you had people like Christian, who's denying it now, who recognized what was going on. You had Derek X, who recognized what was going on. And you had Claire. But they purposely, held that back because they didn't want to be seen as bigots or be called bigots outside of the house. Like, even Derek X, who is supposed to be, a minority, because Stop Asian Hate became a thing recently. But I guess that no longer exists. Asians are back to being all white again. Which is shit that's actually been said. You could look it up for yourself. Asians were being discriminated against in Ivy League universities in the name of diversity. I mean, you can't make this shit up. And in every in every section, in every faction of life, this bullshit is being pushed. And, and they pretty much bank on the lip-tarded retards on Twitter to support this bullshit, even though it goes against their own self-interest. Because it's not a good thing to have someone like Tiffany be any type of representative, because she's a clown. She's a buffoon. Like that lady Philadelphia police chief, who has a horrible track record. But because she's a black liberal woman, single mom, that's all that's required. I mean, because, again, that's all they celebrate. When you look up the hashtags on BB23 and type in Tiffany, that's all they celebrate. They celebrate her mouth. They celebrate her stereotypical persona. has nothing to do with substance. You know, and when they supposed to be, again, celebrating history, they're up there just insulting and racially slurring the Cookout men, left and right, a constant barrage. And none of the notable Big Brother podcasters will speak about this because they're insincere pricks. And then you see a lot of these Big Brother alumni trying to capitalize. Fucking evil dick who has said some of the worst shit in that house. I mean, on top of, you know, burning Jen with the cigarette and pouring a drink over top of her head, which is technically assault. But on top of that, he also talked about, like, jokingly, like, wanting to rape Jen. Like, he said a lot of horrible shit. And then, behind his paywall, you know, during previous seasons on his podcast, he used the word nigger multiple times. Multiple times. But because he talks shit about Donald Trump and co-signs this cookout, all is forgiven. This is why you don't take these woke motherfuckers seriously at all. They don't stand for shit that they claim to stand for. Which brings me back to Julie Chen. When she recently did an interview with Entertainment Weekly, I believe, talking about watching the Claire and Tiffany exchange and how she cried over it. Oh, she was so emotional. Two friends, Claire being understanding about, you know, she's white and she has to go. Julie Chen, you celebrating that racist bullshit? Then you need to take back all the shit you said about Aaron. Because you're insincere. No fucking consistency whatsoever. But again, I don't expect any integrity from a mainstream bitch. You know, you got People Magazine talking about how 23 is making history with a black winner being crowned for the first time. Again, pumping and celebrating a racist historical event. But not paying any attention to all of the misandrous and racist bullshit that's being directed towards players like Kyland and Xavier. And now let me focus more on Kyland and his savagery and his savage history. Now, again, we haven't received much gameplay because this isn't a real season. I mean, Kyland himself has said that, and he said that speaking to the cameras, and he wants to get invited back. And at the time when I first heard him say that, I was like, fuck that. No, you get one chance. You should have been playing your game now. But seeing how he's behaved with Tiffany, where she's just been throwing the booty at him, you know, trying to cuddle him up and down, especially after he's won veto. You know, it's been a glorious thing to watch, and I really appreciate that. I mean, you've had Hannah, who mentioned that her parents' anniversary is happening, and he simply respond, well, you know, it's also Tiffany's I think son's birthday. It's like he just responded like, oh yeah, I got Tiffany on a significant day as well. and when you think about it and look back, Kyland has only gotten rid of people who were actually coming after him. So if anybody played their own game, you really have to look at Kyland. Because he didn't get rid of Sarah Beth. You know, he didn't get rid of Derek X. I mean, obviously through Sarah Beth, he sort of did. But he hasn't directly did anything like that. I mean, Hannah just went out of her way to throw Derek X under the bus, and we saw what Tiffany did. But, you know, since his first HOH, you know, he made the move that was best for him. Like, he got rid of Frenchie because Frenchie put him on the block after promising not to. And for people who don't remember, the reason why Kyland, one of the main reasons why Kyland went up on the block on Frenchie's HOH, and Travis, the first evicted, talked about this. He had a little alliance. It was Kyland, Travis, and Derek X. And, Frenchie found out about that somehow. And that's why Kyland went up with, Derek X and Travis sort of being one of the backdoor options. Because Frenchie really had a stick up his ass about the meatheads. Even more so than, wanting to protect the POCs. But if you were a meathead, he had an issue. And he saw Kyland as a meathead, and that's why I believe he was initially on the block. And he would have went home first if Derek X wasn't a coward and used the veto, which got Travis backdoored and out of the house. And then when you think about his other HOH when I believe he got rid of Brittany, I mean, that was someone who was coming after him. So it made sense for him to get Brittany out. And now on his third HOH, he's getting Tiffany out. So, if anybody has truly played a masterful game, doing what was in his best interest, you have to give it to Kyland. And he's truly been savage about it. I mean, hell, he's willing to, turn a fake cop story involving himself into like an action movie and do it in front of a crowd of people. So, of course, he's willing to lie. I mean, in fact, I think he's well aware of all of this cookout stuff being bullshit, and he's just exploiting it. I mean, that's how I feel. And, in real life, I don't like it, but within the context of this game, I utterly enjoy it, him exploiting this cookout bullshit. And, again, it's been a great thing to see. So now I am interested to see him play again, because he's probably been holding back, to placate the racist alliance bullshit. So I would love to see Kyland in full savage mode, fully activated, going after people's necks. But again, you look on Big Brother Twitter, and they're pretty much showing why no black male should invest in this type of race play bullshit, because ultimately you're expected to kneel and to bow down, to the female, because they expect you to sacrifice your own damn game for a bitch you don't even know, and more than likely won't continue a relationship with after the show is over. Because we know Kyland is going to be friends with, Sarah Beth, and probably also her girlfriend. But he's not going to be friends with, these cookout chicks. I highly doubt it. Probably initially when they're doing their cookout meet and greets, where the black people are allowed to be in the front of the line and all the non-black people, especially the whites, have to get in the back of the line, because you got to let the black folks be first in line in the meet and greets. You have to give them the opportunity to meet history, to meet and greet history. Because the cookout is something like Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. Bullshit that was actually said in this house. But again, bravo to Kyland, being savage on this HOH and just not giving a fuck. And keep crying, all of you insincere, duplicitous bitches on the internet crying over this. Cry some more. In fact, go in the tub and maybe cut yourself over it, you fucking idiots. But anyway, looking forward to what happens during this double eviction. Hopefully Xavier can pull out a win and get the other bitch out. Hannah, a.k.a. Kamala Chada, as I like to call her. Because nothing would be better to see the three guys at Final 3. So the man-hating morons can come out the closet even more so. And we get to see people like Rob has a podcast avoid that problematic bullshit, to use their words. Avoid it like the plague because they're dishonest cowards. But if you're willing to listen to some honesty and truth in a BB podcaster, follow Metro D. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment. Check them out.